you can hear that outside, I apologize. Ruined the intro. Welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now redone by Disney, or current Lucasfilm. Whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today, I have for you Book 18 in the New Jedi Order series in the Vong War. The second to last book in this entire gigantic frickin' series. No series bigger, I think, in the EU. So, that is a thing. At least novels-wise. 19 books. It was really good. I have to say, without a doubt, this entire book, let me preface by saying, I do not hate the last 3 books. They were good. But I can say, personally, without a doubt, this one book alone was better than all 3 of them, in my opinion. What is that book? It is Book 18 in the New Jedi Order series. Let me just check to make sure it's all good. Okay, sorry. New Jedi Order series, which is Final Prophecy by Greg Keyes. Greg Keyes, of course, wrote the Edge of Victory duology with, focusing a little bit more on Anakin, and it was super good. And, just a little update for those sci-fi nerds out there, since I talked about how I was in a previous season of Babylon 5. I'm currently in Season 3. I just finished Episode 8, so the Shadow War, I guess I shouldn't talk about that because that might be spoilers for people who haven't seen Babylon 5. But for those of you who've seen Babylon 5, I'm getting into the next arc, the what happens after the ending sort of thing, which is really interesting. Anyway, I only mention that because in my previous review for Edge of Victory, I knew that he wrote a trilogy for Babylon 5 for the few novels that they have, and I'm definitely going to read it at some point. I'm going to get my hands on it because I love this guy's writing. He's really good. So, my non-spoiler, how do I go about this? It's a bit more Tahiri focused, but not entirely on her. We get Cornhorn. We get Nen Yim, who we haven't seen for a while. We get Naminor yet again. We get Harar, one of the priests in the Yusong Vong. We have a side story kind of going on with Wedge Antilles, Pelion, Han, Leia, Jaina, Jag, So still kind of split off. Luke and Jason are in it for like a second. They are not a big part of this book at all. So basically, the main plot is that Nen Yim, Harar, Naminor, disguised as the prophet, Cornhorn, and Tahiri travel to Zamana Zakat, or however you say the name, the living planet that we learned about in the previous trilogy. Or didn't learn about in the previous trilogy, but went to go find in the previous trilogy. And they're here to figure out its secrets, figure out what's going on with it, and to see if there's... everybody has their own reasons for going. Cornhorn and Tahiri have their reason. Nen Yim has her own reason. Harar has his own reason, and Naminor has his own reason for going. And so a lot of stuff happens on that planet, and then there's a lot of stuff going on with the rest of our heroes, with Han and everyone that I mentioned, because instead of brute force, the Yusong Vong have, for an attack that was going on Bilbringi, yes, Bilbringi, the place that was significant in the Thrawn trilogy, but instead of brute force this time, they have taken out communication. So for an exact mission that required communication to talk to one another, they now don't have that. It'd be as if you were planning to meet up with your friends somewhere. And seeing as how we all rely on cell phones these days, and we don't know how to function without that. And imagine not only the internet, but cell service, everything was down. You cannot call anyone. So you have no way to know where to go, no way to know what you're supposed to do now. Something like that. So that's a whole thing that they got to deal with. And that's about it for non-spoilers, I guess. I don't know if that's very if that's vague or anything, but I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really good. I love Nominor always. Slimy little bastard. I love Tahiri a lot. I love her character. I like Cornhorn. There's a lot of small moments I love too in this book, and it made things kind of feel hopeless again, at least near the end for me. And I went from loving, being fascinated by a certain character to vehemently hating them, which I'm surprised I didn't before. So, that's about it for my non-spoiler. Overall, definitely worth a read. It's the second to last one in the new Jedi Order series. That's right, guys. The next review, Unifying Force, we will finally be done with this epic saga. And we can move on to other such things that will also be depressing. But that's in the future. And for different reasons, not because of the Yusong Vong. So, I'm going to get into spoilers now. If you don't want spoilers, time to get out. This is for the veterans here. The first note was, war sucks. Wedge Antilles. Because it starts off with a mission that was being done. And it required certain people not to know the plan because, of, Vong infiltrators and stuff, and they, hide in plain sight. And the soldier was talking to Wedge Antilles. He's like, you need to tell me what's going on, because if I can't trust you, then I'm going to head without you. This is our home, and we want it back. And Wedge just could not provide that information. He had orders. And so they went in and died. And, war sucks sometimes. That's the price of it. So, it was just a surprisingly depressing scene. The Vong know about the planet. They know about Zom-No Zakat. And Shimra vehemently hates it and pretends it's not a thing. He pretends it's not a thing. It's a myth, it's a legend. Stop talking about it. If you talk about it, you're dead. Real big censorship there. And then we get into my next note, which is so much of Vong politics. Because you have, Nominor, he's trying to do this thing for himself. He's scheming, he's manipulating it to do this. And he wants to get to Zom-No Zakat for his own reasoning. Nenyim wants to go to Zom-No Zakat because she agrees with Shimra that it's this crazy thing that must be ended, though her mind might change as the book progresses. Harar has his own reasons for wanting to go, but at the same time, he doesn't trust Nenyim or the prophet. The prophet doesn't trust them. Nenyim doesn't trust the other two. They're all conspiring and have their own reasons for doing stuff, and they all end up having to join together. And it's just really fun. Tahiri and Corrin go to meet Nominor. They have to go to Yusan-Tar, which was previously Coruscant, but we're going to call it Yusan-Tar because that's what it is in the books right now. The whole mission to go get them was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Corrin's sass. I forget how sassy Corrin can be sometimes, but I enjoy his relationship with Tahiri. It's interesting where it develops. And I don't know, I feel like we didn't get too much of that in the Edge of Victory duology. So it was interesting to see. I just like seeing characters that are well established, that haven't had much time together, to get time together. I don't know, my voice is so read it right now. Nen Yim and Tahiri. So this is interesting. The relationship that Nen Yim and Tahiri have is an interesting one because Nen Yim helped to create that problem with her that she was having with Rena and Tahiri. How she was, half Vong. And their dynamic is really interesting, and I enjoy how it progresses in this book. It was such a good job with character development and learning more about this character that I felt legitimately bad by the end of this book. Wedge on the Last Command, I enjoyed seeing from Wedge's perspective his, not reminiscing, because reminiscing sounds positive, but thinking back on the Thrawn trilogy, on that final battle, and how, he has to respect, Pelion for knowing when to quit, and respects Grand Admiral Thrawn for his, genius, and how had he not been backstabbed by one of the Noghri, they would have lost. And I just enjoyed hearing his, retrospective on that whole scenario. And so with this calm blackout that makes it so Wedge can't talk to anyone, Pelion can't talk to anyone, Grafik can't talk to anyone, Han goes on a mission to fix that. Harar and Horn, they have an interesting discussion about, how Harar sees some certain things as abominations, and they talk about Shadow Shy and all the events that happened with Ithor. I just enjoyed how Harar and Nen Yim seem to be very inquisitive. They definitely seem more open-minded than the other Vong. And I like the dynamics that are starting to grow, that sadly are going to go nowhere, as we'll see later on in this spoiler section. But I really, really enjoyed that discussion. It was one of my favorite parts of this book, even though it's pretty short. I love Naminor's villainy. That's my next note. So my boy, Naminor, favorite villain of this entire 19-book series. Shadow Shy being close second. He is the most interesting bad guy of this whole series. Not of all of Star Wars, no. Palpatine, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Darth Vader, they all beat him. But for this series, he is the best. Because, when we had the last trilogy, we saw him, for every single book, we've seen him scheming, we've seen him conniving, we've seen him doing everything he's got to do to do what he's got to do. Then we get to the previous trilogy, and he's rising to power through the Shamed Ones. And if he uses the Shamed Ones and he rises back to power with their help, he swears in his own head, no one's forced him to say this, that he will bring them back to redemption. But in this book, he gets an opportunity to get in good graces with Shimra. And so I believe he was truthful, because he wasn't talking to anyone. This was in his own brain, talking about how he would love, or that he would, follow through with his word if the Shamed Ones helped him. But if he finds a better alternative, he'll give up on them on a dime, because he doesn't care about them, only that he follows his end of the deal. And so he kind of goes, not cartoonishly evil, because it makes sense why he's doing it, but this book made me go from not loving him, again, I kept making that mistake. I found him super duper interesting and enjoying every scene he was in, to actively hating him, which I didn't before, which is weird. This is the only book where I started to actually hate him, hate his guts, and wish him dead. So this is interesting too. So Tahiri wants Corran to be her master, which was really interesting, because now at this point we've had the sequels coming out. I think only episode 1 and 2 have come out still, but so we have the prequels to know about the master and the apprentice sort of relationship. But she wants Corran Horn to be her master, which I hope that works out for her, because that'd be cool. I legit almost cried. So, Naminor murders Nenyim. That entire scene was super well done. She finally understood. She finally understood what made Zama's a cut so cool, or so amazing. What could change the Yusong Vong and bring peace. She gets her head bashed in with a rock. Hate you now, Naminor. The whole scene was really well done. Time flew by. I was over and done with the chapter before I even knew it, because I was so enthralled with that section. And this is just a part I liked, where Han's like to Leia, I'd rather have you here, next to me. But he knows that she's got to go into the shooting cockpit area thing, so that way she can help, even though he'd rather have her with her. And I just have to say, best couple in all fiction. It's true. They are, and they shall forever be. Poor Imperial kid. So we meet Imperial that absolutely loves Han, is a big fan, but he's an Imperial. Han thinks is strange enough, but he's just really kind and really helpful. And he tries to sacrifice himself to help. Of course, it didn't do much, so his sacrifice was kind of in vain. But yeah, they set him up as this really cool person just to kill him off. And then we reach the end of the book, and there was this whole side plot with Jaina trying to get this interdiction thing or station up or something. She's being held up by these people who are super greedy or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of whatever. And they were threatening to hurt her and stuff. And Han just beat the crap out of one of them. He's like, if you ever touch my kid, you're dead. Or something like that. And I just love that you don't mess with Han's family. This one's going to be one of the shorter ones that I've done. It's surprising. My last note is Pelian's son. Is this true? I'm not exactly sure. I assume it is because Jaina felt his emotions. But there's no way to verify that unless they actually say that. But the kid who was really a big fan of Han Solo, he died. And when Pelion learns of this, he hides it well, but Jaina senses something in him. And she thinks that guy might be his son. But Pelion never got married, which means it would have been, maybe just a fling. Maybe somebody that he does love, but just hasn't had the time to marry. I don't know. But it makes Pelion even more interesting. And I feel bad for him. And the last, words from Han were really cool. But that's pretty much it. I really enjoyed this book, though. It's one of my favorites of the series, I think. Traitor still being the best of all of it. Up next, we have the finale to the new Jedi Order series. The end of the Yusong Vong War. And the beginning of many other adventures to come. So I hope you all look forward to that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.